Hello, today I just want to share with you how to master your foundation. So there's 4 questions I like to ask when I'm investigating with people. So number 1 being, what skin type are you? So are you dry, oily, combination or normal? Then 2, what coverage do you like? So it can be from sheer, medium or full. And then 3 would be what undertone of skin you have. So if you have a yellow or a pinky or somewhere in between. And 4 being what finish you prefer. So if you prefer it to be more glowing or more matte or satin, velvet in between. But I'll try and break it down and share with you what I do with my makeup, usually my foundation, on a day-to-day basis. I hope you enjoy, and please let me know if there's anything else you want to see next time. So the first stage is to prep your skin before you apply a foundation. So if you've got something like dry skin, use a moisturiser that's really going to enrich it. I quite like using the Embryolisse, just because that one tends to work on a lot of different skin tones and it's not too fragrant, so it doesn't tend to irritate too many people. If you've got more oily skin, you could just use say a little bit of Fix Plus if you want a bit of hydration still. And sometimes I'll just skip out moisturiser and I'll just use a primer underneath, something like the MAC Prep and Prime Natural Radiance. Also, you have the oil absorbing moisturisers designed more for oily skin. Like in my kit I've got the MAC Oil Control Lotion if you still want something that's a bit more like a moisturiser underneath. To tell you a little bit about my skin, I'm really combination, so I'll get dry in areas, especially around my spots, and then as the day goes on, if it's a long day, I can get a little bit shiny. The texture I prefer, I like to have a little bit of a glow. Like, I don't want to look dripping in oil, but I do like that radiant, healthy finish. So I'm going to show you what I would choose for myself personally on a day-to-day basis. A while ago I have used a little bit of the Embryolisse moisturiser, though I find if I use too much I will go overly shiny and it can move around, so I put a little bit of that. I really want to add a little bit of an extra glow, so I will use a little bit of the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector, and you can either mix that into your foundation or you can do it before or apply it on top. And then this is the Prep and Prime Natural Finish, so it is a primer, and this one is designed to help the foundation just smooth over your skin a bit easier and then also distribute the oil, so rather than it just gathering in one area. I'm always in two minds about like primers, because sometimes you think, are they really making any difference to how it's lasting? But if anything, it does make the foundation go on a bit smoother when it's got something to slip on. Now, so this is the optional step. So the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in Moonstone. I'm going to do it before my foundation, mainly on the high points, because I find it's just really lovely for adding that glow to the skin. And the Moonstone has that sort of pearlescent champagne gold undertone to it. The foundation I use just day to day is this Bajor Healthy Mix Serum, and I just find it good because it's really affordable, so don't feel bad about getting through loads of bottles when you're not doing anything special. It's got a sheer to medium coverage, and it gives you that nice healthy glow, but it still lasts really well on the skin. It's got a 16-hour claim, but I don't know whether it's 16 hour, but it does last well and it does make you look healthy and very affordable. So this is from Bajor. Now I'm going to use a stippling brush to apply it, but it also does work well if you just sort of blob it on with your fingers and then blend it with a beauty blender. But I suppose the stippling brush is the one I've been using for the longest amount of time, just because it blends out all the edges really easily and you can control the foundation, because I don't really need a lot of coverage on my forehead or on my cheeks. So I start my application where I want more coverage, which is on my chin. So just here where you want to build it up a bit more. To build up the coverage and just to show you how to use a beauty blender, I'll just pop a little bit of foundation on with my fingers and then bounce a damp beauty blender across. And with the beauty blender it's good just because, you know, you get that really HD finish, so you're not going to get any streaks or the foundation just sort of sitting on the top surface of the skin. I want to cover this spot, so I'm using a little bit of the MAC Studio Finish concealer, which is more of a full coverage, but it's a nice creamy consistency, so I find it works quite well on spots because it doesn't look too dry and sort of gathered. And you can build up the coverage depending on how much you need. Got a bit of a whopper there, down there at the moment. Let's get rid of them. If you want to be quite intricate, you could use a brush and sort of just paint it onto the areas, but I quite like heating up this concealer. I find when you use it with your fingers, it's easier to control the application, and again you're just pressing it into the skin rather than having blobs of concealer everywhere. Using the beauty blender you can press that in if you just want to soften it all down. So for the concealer around the eye, I actually do like one that is a little bit more matte, just because I like to use it all over my lid so that it sort of neutralises the colour. I don't want it to be too greasy, otherwise I find it moves my eyeshadow around, and then also it can sort of crease under the eye. Again, you could use this concealer with a soft blending brush, just like a blending eyeshadow brush. The concealer I'm using is the LA Girl Pro Conceal. So that one's just good again for a day-to-day one, just because it's so affordable. I think they're about £5 each, these concealers. But they do have good coverage and stay in place well. I'm just mixing colours in porcelain and then just a little bit of medium beige, just so it's not too ghost-like. And then if you're like me, you get a little bit darker just in that area here. I like to go back with that more full coverage concealer. So the Studio Finish from MAC works well. And I just like to work it right in that inside bit there, as opposed to making it too heavy all the way across here where it can crease and move. I build it up there and then go back with the beauty blender. In terms of selecting your colours, often the foundations will be mixed into either a yellow base or pinky base, or some of them are just neutral. The only problem with that Bajor Healthy Mix foundation is most of them I'd say are more yellow base, so not so good if you've got pinky undertone, but I am more yellow, so it works well for me. If you've got your hair up and you're going to an event, not a day-to-day, but for an event, it's always worth putting a little bit of foundation on your ears, because they tend to look a bit red next to your skin, especially if you're getting married or something, or if you're doing makeup for a fashion show, because when the models are walking down and the lights behind them, their ears can glow if you don't. Then once you're happy with the amount of coverage you've achieved, it's good to lock it all in place. So I'm using a little bit of powder. This is the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish because it doesn't take out all of the dimension to the face. It still keeps it looking a bit three-dimensional, and it doesn't really dry out the skin. So I always like to lock it just under the eyes so it's not creasing, round the nose, and just areas you don't want to look shiny, and then normally under the cheekbones because you want that area to be matte. And when you're doing your powder, rather than sweeping it all across, you just want to press it into the skin because you don't want to move off all the coverage you've achieved. And to select your type of powder as well, you want to go by skin type. So the mineralized one does work on a lot of skin tones, though it doesn't absorb oil. So if you're an oily skin type, you probably want to use something a little bit more blottifying. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're watching this on my free Makeup Masters app, I hope you're enjoying that too. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover, and see you again soon. Bye!